Mr. Ikechi joins us. He's a legal practitioner to shed light on or give us his thoughts on that report. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the role of the judiciary is very important, whichever way you look at it. I mean, General Barry said, look, in 2003, he spent 30 months in court. In 2007, he spent 18 months in court. And so it tells you how important some of these things are. But about the lawyers, the MBA, I've had people say, well, yes, if lawyers don't advise their clients, look, you have a case in this, go to court. Perhaps we might have been saved 50% of all this adjudication we see now and then.
No, I don't think it works that way. You see, there's a principle of legal practice, professional conduct, that says that the fact that you do not believe in the success of your client's case should not preclude you from going to court if your client asks you to go to court. Your job as a lawyer is to argue, advocate on behalf of your client and get the best possible results on his behalf or on her behalf. Not necessarily to stop him from trying out on his rights, as it were, because so many times when you advise clients that they may not have cases to go to court, they may not believe you. They will go to the next lawyer, and the next lawyer would take the money and head to court. So on those grounds, you would find out that lawyers, yes, you advise internally. You give legal advice. This is the way to go. This is the way not to go. But when your client says that he wants to try out his time in court, you give him his day in court. You don't run away from it, especially where it involves rights, especially where it involves fundamental rights.
Okay, is it utopian for us to say we seek perfect elections? Because after all, the law talks about substantial compliance.
Yes, it's utopian. In fact, even in justice, yes, it's utopian to expect perfect justice. If in law, we say substantial justice, insofar as a judge tries his best or her best to do substantial justice in cases, that would be taken to be good justice, as not only be done, but also seen to be done. So there is nothing like perfect election. I don't believe anywhere in the world that there is anything like perfect election, but there is something like elections according to expectations. So presently in Nigeria, I think, yes, it is utopian to expect perfect elections. And that is where the issue of being dissatisfied with outcomes, where when you hear people say, okay, we expect you to be so perfect, and if you don't give us what we want, we would form parallel government. And you see that supporters, yes, hailing such statements and the resultant effects.
You know, it wasn't long ago in our polity
Yes.
when we began seeing judges at the Supreme Court level giving dissenting judgments.
Yes.
And then it left people wondering, oh, wait a minute, this judge just said exactly what I thought the case was going to swing. But
yes. You
majority.
see, dissenting judgments have always been part of the legal of our jurisprudence. In fact, from the common law era, from the Norman...
It's starting to gain prominence now.
No, it has always been there. It has always...
For political cases?
Yes, in fact, if you know Lord Denning very well, the eminent erudite jurist, Lord Denning, most of his decisions have always come from dissenting judgments. They've always come from minority judgments. Sometimes, what happened to Lord Denning was that he had to be taken to the House of Lords, the apex judicial body in the United Kingdom. He refused. He went to the Court of Appeal because that is where a whole lot of litigation take place. And as a result, he was able to affect so many issues. And some of these issues were always in disagreement with the status quo. And if you look at it closely, you'll see that the status quo is always on the majority side, and dissenting judgments is always against the status quo. So dissenting judgments have always been there, and it will continue to be there. It shows the fact that just like an elephant, where a blind man is asked to touch a part of an elephant and say what he or she thinks that elephant is, the blind man will describe it according to the part that he or she touches. So it is the same thing with judges. Judges look at issues and cases and facts before them and interpret it according to their understanding of issues.
Now, one of the things that struck me in that report was when the current NBA chairman asked, if Nigerians are ready for the elections. From your own assessment and what you've seen so far, Would you say that we're ready?
Well, I think we are ready. I think we are ready, but permit me to look at it from three perspectives. One, the side of the Nigerians, you and I. The second part, the side of the government, and the side of INEC. On the side of Nigerians, it is what we see on ground that we respond to. For example, I personally, I have not collected my PVC. A lot of people have not collected their PVCs. You go to some certain strategic areas. For example, as I'm coming down from Imo State now, there are certain areas where certain candidates, like Captain Ihanacho's strongholds in Owerri North, for example, the entire zone, they have not collected their PVC. So you will not say because of that the people are not ready. Yes, the people are willing and ready to come out and vote, but they are not availed that opportunity because INEC has not provided that. So if you're saying you want to talk about whether the people are ready, you will also put into perspective the fact whether the corresponding correlation is also making it possible for the people to be ready.
So would you say then, I mean, if you're looking at it on three sides, you're looking at the people, INEC, and government,
yes.
Which one of the sides would you say is most prepared for the elections?
I think the people and the government, those two are ready because according to INEC, every dime that they need to prosecute the election has been given to them by the government. And that shows that the government has played their part. And if we look at the trend, recent trend, there's this prevailing situation where elections have been left more or less to the determination of what the voters have said. There's a reduced level of rigging. There's a reduced level of election violence, electoral violence, and voter manipulation. And that goes to show that to an extent, to a large extent, the government has shown that it is ready to give us good elections. But INEC, in my view, is not ready.
But INEC has been speaking, and every time they talk, we are getting to the belief that they're almost ready. But now the gist is that in some local governments, specifically here in Lagos State, they've been asked that you approach a local government to collect your PVC.
Yes.
Some have done, but they still haven't been able to get their PVC.
Yes.
The House of Representatives 48 hours ago did suggest that we make use of the PVC as well as the TVC, which INEC still hasn't said anything in that regard.
Absolutely.
Would you also go in that direction?
Absolutely. I am all for it. I think that we should face the reality. If INEC is not up to speed, up to what is on the table for them to give us good election, there's no reason for us to insist on the Utopian situations and insist that we must use the PVCs. If I personally, I don't have a PVC for now. If at the end of the day I don't have a PVC, you are disenfranchising me. And that goes to constitutional provisions because Section 42 says that every individual shall not be discriminated against by several circumstances. So if I am qualified to vote, I ought to vote, and I am not allowed to vote possibly because I don't have my PVC. That's discrimination.
Isn't your qualification predicated on you having the PVC?
No, that is not the qualification. The qualification is me being 18 years and above and being a Nigerian citizen.
But there are guidelines that INEC have.
The guidelines cannot override the constitutional provisions. The constitutional provisions are very clear with regards to the fact that as soon as you are 18 years and above, you're a citizen and you are entitled to vote. So guidelines must put into perspective these constitutional provisions. That is why I think that suggestion by the House of Representatives is very expedient. There's nothing wrong with using PVCs and TVCs at the same time to vote, so that everybody across board is given the opportunity to vote.